How did one envelope in my office lobby turn me into a risk overnight? Why did my husband stay calm, then use simple receipts to end my job in one morning? What do you do when security walks you out, and everyone acts like you were always the problem? My name is Romola Pritchard. I was 34 then, and I worked in customer compliance at a mid-sized bank. I checked forms, flags, and notes all day. I told people I protected the bank. I told myself I protected my family too. We lived in a clean house in a quiet street. From the outside, it looked calm. Inside, I was always counting what I did not have. I did not have excitement. I did not have praise. I did not have the feeling of being chosen. Ethan was my husband. He was 36, and he managed operations for a building supply company. He did not drink much. He did not shout. He did not break things. He was not a monster. That was the problem. He was steady, and steady felt like silence. That morning, I stood in our kitchen with my phone in my hand. The kettle was loud. 2 mugs sat by the sink. One was mine, with a faded blue stripe. One was his, plain and grey. He came in and opened the fridge like nothing was wrong. He asked how I slept. I said I was tired from work. He looked at me like he wanted to say more, but he did not. He poured coffee and checked his own phone. Then he asked if I moved money from savings. He asked it in a normal voice. He did not accuse me. He did not call me names. That calm tone made me feel trapped, like there was no place to push. I said I paid bills and he should not worry. I said the cost of living was high, and he acted like a child about numbers. I watched his eyes go to the counter, like he was trying to keep his face still. He said he only wanted to understand. He said he saw the balance change fast. He asked what it was for. I smiled, because a smile can cut. I said he was controlling. I said he watched me like I was a thief. I said I hated that feeling. I said a husband should trust his wife. He told me he did trust me, but he needed clarity. He said we had plans for that savings. He said we talked about school and repairs and emergencies. I said we always talked about his plans. I said my life felt like a list he wrote. I said I worked too, and I deserved nice things. He looked down at his mug. He did not answer right away. That made me more angry, because silence feels like judgment. Piper came in with her hair messy and her backpack half open. She asked if she could have cereal. Ethan nodded and poured it for her. He asked if she had gym today. She said yes. I watched them talk in that small, normal way, and I felt left out in my own house. I kissed Piper's head and told her she looked cute. I told Ethan I had a busy day and I did not have time for money drama. He said okay. He said we could talk later. That okay sounded like a door closing. After they left, I went upstairs. I opened the closet and pulled out a shopping bag I kept behind winter coats. The bag had a fancy logo. I ran my fingers over the rope handles like they were proof I mattered. I told myself it was not a big deal. I told myself Ethan bought tools and car parts, so why could I not buy something for me? I also knew the truth. My spending was not just for me. It was for the feeling I got when someone looked at me like I was new. At the bank, the open office smelled like printer paper and hand sanitizer. People typed and whispered. I put on my professional face and walked in like I owned the floor. Marcy Lyle sat 2 desks away. She was my work friend, and she loved gossip like it was oxygen. She looked at my outfit and said I was glowing. I said I just finally slept well. That was a lie. I had not slept well in months. I had been checking my phone at night, waiting for a message that made my chest feel warm. Marcy asked if Ethan was still being weird about money. I told her he was intense lately. I told her he acted like he was my boss. I said it was exhausting. Marcy made a face like she already hated him. That made me feel safe. If the people around me disliked him, then I did not have to question myself. At lunch, I left the building and walked 2 blocks to a coffee shop downtown. I told myself it was for air. I told myself it was normal. My hand still shook when I opened the door, like I was doing something important. Mason Keller sat near the window. He worked as an event photographer and a nightlife promoter. He always had a camera bag, even when he did not need it. He looked up and smiled like he'd been waiting for me all morning. He asked if I was okay. I said work was heavy. He said I deserved a break. He said he liked my energy and he liked how I carried myself. He asked why I hid my shine at home. I said Ethan was practical and boring. I said he did not see me. I said he treated me like a roommate. I did not say the good parts about Ethan. I did not say he packed Piper's lunch and remembered her shoe size. I did not say he fixed things before they broke. Those facts did not help my story. Mason said life was short, and people who played safe died sad. He said I should live while I could. He said he could show me a version of me that felt free. I sat there and nodded like I was listening to wisdom, not a sales pitch. When I returned home later, the driveway was quiet. Ethan's truck was there. I walked inside and saw him tying up the kitchen trash bag. The bag looked heavier than usual. He did not look at me at first. He asked how my day was. I said it was fine. He asked if I could talk for 5 minutes. I said I had a headache. He carried the trash out and I followed a few steps behind. I saw the fancy logo bag torn and folded inside the trash. My stomach tightened. He must have seen it earlier. He did not bring it up. He just tied the bag tighter, like he was holding something in. That night, after Piper went to bed, Ethan sat at the small desk in the corner of the living room. His laptop was open, but he angled the screen away from me. I asked what he was doing. He said he was sorting things. I said he was acting strange. He said he wanted to get organized. I went to the kitchen and poured water. The house was too quiet. I heard a soft beep from his phone, quick and clean, like a recording app starting or stopping. I froze for 1 second. Then I told myself I was imagining it. I told myself he was being dramatic, and I was still the reasonable one. I picked up my own phone, and a bank alert flashed across the screen. It said a transfer was completed. I stared at it until my eyes burned, and I told myself it was fine, because I deserved it. The next few days felt like a test I did not agree to take. Ethan did not raise his voice, but he kept asking small questions. He asked when we could sit down and plan the month. I said I was too busy. He asked if we could both see the account on one screen. I said he wanted to control me. He asked why I sounded angry. I said he made me angry by acting suspicious. I told myself I was defending my freedom. I told myself a woman should not have to explain every dollar. I also told myself Ethan had no right to look at me like a problem to solve. On Friday, Marcy invited me to a rooftop bar after work. She said it would help my mood. I knew what she really meant. She meant I should be seen. She meant I should not look like a wife who went home to a quiet life. The bar had heaters and loud music. People took photos near the city lights. I sat with Marcy, 2 other coworkers, and my sister Tamsin. Tamsin arrived with a bright lipstick and a smile that looked sharp. She asked how Ethan was behaving. I said he was acting like a banker at home too. She rolled her eyes like she already won. Marcy asked if Ethan still checked the accounts. I said he watched me like a criminal. I did not say he asked in a calm voice. I did not say he looked tired. I said he was intense. I said he made me feel small. They all leaned in, like my life was a show. Someone asked why I stayed with him. I said I stayed because I cared about stability. I said I did not want to break our child's world. That sounded noble, so I liked it. It also made me feel like my choices were forced, not chosen. Tamsin said Ethan was lucky to have me. Marcy said some men hated when a woman had standards. I nodded and let their words wrap around me like a blanket. Then I said the joke. I said Ethan needed a receipt to breathe. I said if I bought a coffee without telling him, he would call the police. People laughed. I laughed too, loud and clear. In that moment, I felt powerful. I felt like the room agreed that I was right and he was wrong. One of the coworkers filmed a short clip for social media. She asked if it was okay. I said yes because I wanted the world to see I was fun. I told myself it was harmless. I told myself Ethan should learn not to take things so seriously. Later that night, when I got home, Ethan was on the couch. The TV was on but muted. He asked if I had a good time. I said yes. He asked why I came home late. I said we stayed longer because work was stressful. He looked at my face like he was reading it. He said he saw a tag story with my joke. He asked why I spoke about him like that. He asked it softly, like he did not want to wake Piper. I said he was overreacting. I said it was just humor. I said everyone joked about their spouse. I said he always made me look like the bad guy, so I had to protect myself. He stared at the carpet for a long time. He said he did not try to make me look bad. He said he only asked for honesty. I did not like the word honesty from him. It sounded like a demand. The next morning, I opened my phone and wrote a message in a family group chat. I typed that financial control was emotional control. I typed that a woman should not be questioned like a child. I did not name Ethan, but I made sure people knew. My mother replied with a heart and said I deserved respect. Tamsin replied with fire emojis. I felt relieved, like I had witnesses. Ethan came into the kitchen and saw me typing. He asked what I was doing. I said I was talking to my sister. He asked if I could stop making it public. I said he was ashamed because he knew he was wrong. Piper walked in and asked why Dad looked sad. I said he was just tired. Ethan asked Piper about her homework and kept his voice steady. That made me feel angry again because he was staying calm in front of her. Calm can look innocent. Calm can make me look loud. On Sunday, we went to the supermarket. Piper sat in the cart and held a cereal box like it was a prize. Ethan picked vegetables and checked the list. I watched him, and part of me wanted to soften. Then I remembered I did not want to soften. Softness felt like losing. At the checkout, I tapped our card like I always did. The machine beeped and showed a decline. The cashier looked at me with a blank face. A man behind us sighed. Piper asked why we were waiting. My cheeks burned. I tried again. It declined again. Ethan took out his own card and paid without a word. He did not blame me in front of anyone. He did not shame me. That should have made me grateful. Instead, I felt humiliated. In the car, I told him he did that on purpose. I said he moved money to punish me. He asked how he could decline a card from his pocket. I said he always found a way. He said the account must be low. I said it was low because life was expensive, and he refused to understand. That afternoon, I went to the school pickup line. Other parents stood in small groups. I noticed 2 women glance at my phone and then at me. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe someone saw the rooftop story. Maybe Marcy showed it around. I told myself it did not matter. I told myself people loved me. Piper climbed into the car and asked if we could get ice cream. I said maybe. She asked why Dad did not smile much. I said he was stressed. She asked if I did something wrong. I told her no, and I said adults had boring problems. My voice sounded thin. That night, Ethan stood near the counter and washed his mug. He placed it on the far side, away from mine. I noticed it and felt a cold pinch in my chest. He did not say he was hurt, but his small movement started to say it for him. Later, when he left his phone on the table, I saw his calendar for 1 second. There was a reminder that said, downtown 10:40 a.m. I did not know what it meant. He came back, saw my eyes on the screen, and locked it without a word. I told myself he was plotting something. I told myself he was trying to scare me. I did not consider that he might be trying to save himself. I only felt the need to stay ahead, to keep my story louder than his silence. On Monday, I told myself I would slow down. I told myself the weekend was messy, and I needed to look normal again. Then I got to work and saw my reflection in the elevator mirror. I looked tired and sharp at the same time. That mix made me feel important. Marcy leaned over my desk and asked if Ethan was still acting up. I said he was in one of his moods. I said he liked rules more than people. I said he had started checking the app like a guard. Marcy shook her head like she felt sorry for me. I liked that look on her face. At lunch, I did not go to the staff kitchen. I walked to a co-working lounge near the river. I told Ethan I had a compliance webinar off-site. I said it was required. He asked why it was not on my calendar. I said the invite was last minute. Mason was already there, sitting with his laptop open and a coffee he did not touch. He stood up like I was a guest at an event, not a married woman sneaking out. He asked how I was holding up. I said Ethan was exhausting. Mason said Ethan was scared of losing control. He said men like Ethan wanted women in small boxes. I said I did not fit in a small box. I said I had goals. I said I wanted to feel wanted. Mason nodded like he understood me better than my husband did. That nod felt like approval, and I always chased approval. Mason showed me a page with prices for a weekend package. He called it a content trip for his work. He said I could be a part of it, like a partner, not like someone who waited at home. He asked if I could help with the hotel deposit. He said it would be paid back when he got his next client. I knew what that was. It was a request wrapped in romance. Still, I told myself it was an investment. I told myself Ethan wasted money on boring things like warranties and insurance. I told myself this was different because it made me feel alive. I opened the bank app and moved money from savings. My finger did not shake this time. I paid the deposit and watched the confirmation appear. Mason smiled and said he knew I was not like other women. I felt proud, like I passed a test. On Thursday, I met Mason again, but this time he wanted to show me the hotel lobby so we could plan shots. That was his phrase. I repeated it in my head so I could believe it. The lobby smelled like clean flowers and expensive soap. People walked by with small bags and calm faces. No one looked guilty. That made me feel less guilty too. At the front desk, Mason asked if the reservation was ready. The clerk asked for the card. I used the card linked to our joint savings because it was already there in my wallet. The machine beeped and approved it. I told myself I was not stealing. I told myself Ethan was my husband and this was our life. I told myself I was allowed to take what I needed. When I got home that night, Ethan was in the living room with Piper. He was helping her color a poster for school. Piper showed me the drawing and asked if I liked it. I said it was beautiful. Ethan asked if my webinar went well. I said yes, and I was drained. He asked if I could sit for a minute. Piper went upstairs to brush her teeth. Ethan waited until we were alone, and then asked about 2 charges that looked like a hotel. He did not say Mason's name. He did not say affair. He said the word hotel like it was a fact that did not need emotion. I said it was for work travel. I said I met a colleague to review a case. He asked why the hotel was in a leisure area. I said that was where the conference rate was. He asked for the email invite. I said my phone deleted old mail sometimes. He did not argue. He asked for a timeline. He asked what day I went and when I came back. I felt my skin get hot because he was asking the kind of questions I ask clients when their stories did not match. I laughed and asked if he wanted to take notes like a lawyer. I said he was acting crazy. I said he should be ashamed for treating his own wife like a suspect. Ethan looked at me for a long second and then looked away. He said he did not want to fight. He said he wanted truth. I told him truth was complicated. I told him he only liked simple answers because he was simple. That night, I woke up thirsty and went downstairs. The living room was dark, but the small desk light was on. Ethan was there with papers spread out. He closed his laptop when he heard my steps. I asked what he was doing at midnight. He said he could not sleep and he was sorting household things. I walked closer and smelled a faint toner smell, like something had been printed. Then I heard a low hum, short and soft, like a shredder stopping, I froze again. Ethan asked if I needed water. I said yes. He handed me a glass, like he was a stranger being polite. In the morning, I opened the closet to grab a scarf and saw a new folder on the top shelf. It was plain and labeled Bank. It sat next to Utilities and Household. The labels were neat, like Ethan wanted his life to be clean. I stared at it longer than I should have. Then I shut the closet and told myself it was nothing. At work, I sat on the train and checked my phone. Mason sent me a message asking if I could also cover a camera rental because his vendor needed it today. I felt a quick flare of irritation. Then I remembered how he made me feel when he looked at me. I told myself it was normal for a man to need help sometimes. I told myself Ethan would never ask for help, but Ethan also never gave me excitement. I sent Mason a short reply and said I would handle it. When I got to the office, I saw an alert from the bank app. It said my access to the savings account had changed. I could still see it, but I could not move money. The screen showed View Only. I stared at that message and my mouth went dry. I told myself Ethan had crossed a line. I told myself he was punishing me. I told myself he was proving my point about control. But under that anger, I felt something else. I felt the first small fear that my story might not be the only story in the house anymore. The family dinner was on Tuesday, at a restaurant with a long table and bright lights that made everyone's face look tired. Ethan's parents were there. My mother was there too, because she liked to be present when things could be important. Tamsin came late, as usual, and acted like her entrance was a gift. I wore a dress that made me look calm and successful. I wanted the room to see me first, not Ethan. I wanted to set the tone before he could. Ethan sat beside me, straight-backed and quiet. He asked if I wanted water. I said yes, like we were fine. Darla, his mother, watched my smile like she was measuring it. Neil, his father, nodded at Ethan and asked about work. Ethan answered politely. He did not mention money. He did not mention the app. He acted like a man with nothing to prove. That made my skin itch. When the food arrived, everyone started talking at once. My mother asked Piper about school. Piper said she had a play coming up. Darla asked Piper if she was sleeping well. Piper said she slept better when Dad read to her. My stomach tightened at that simple sentence. Tamsin leaned toward me and whispered that Ethan looked like a sad accountant. I smiled and told her to stop. I did not really want her to stop. I wanted her to keep feeding the feeling that Ethan was small and I was bigger. When the waiter offered a toast, I took it. I lifted my glass and spoke like I was on a stage. I said family was everything. I said it mattered to have support at home. I said some husbands forgot that their wives were people too. I did not say Ethan's name. I did not need to. Then I laughed and said Ethan needed a receipt to breathe. I said it again, like a signature line. A couple people laughed, because laughter is easy at a table when you do not want tension. My mother laughed the loudest. Tamsin clapped once, like it was a show. Darla did not laugh. She set her fork down and looked at me with steady eyes. She asked why I thought it was kind to speak like that. I felt the room shift. I felt everyone notice her seriousness. I said it was just a joke. I said Ethan knew I was playful. I said people were too sensitive these days. I said Darla always took things personally. Ethan finally looked up. He did not glare. He did not slam his hand. He asked me, quietly, to stop. He said he did not like being mocked. He said he wanted basic respect. I leaned back and smiled again. I said he was proving my point. I said he always turned small things into drama. I said he wanted to control how people saw him. Neil cleared his throat. He told Ethan to let it go for the night. My mother told me to ignore Darla and enjoy my meal. Tamsin muttered that Darla was old-fashioned. Piper sat very still, holding her fork, like she did not know where to put her hands. After dinner, Ethan walked to the car without speaking. I followed and asked why he was acting cold. He said he was tired. He said we could talk at home. His voice was calm, but it felt like a wall. At home, Piper went upstairs. I stood in the hallway and waited for Ethan to explode, because I needed him to. If he exploded, I could point to it. I could say, "See, this is why I need space. This is why I need freedom." But Ethan did not explode. He went to the desk area and opened a drawer. I heard the click of a lock. I hated that sound. It sounded like a secret that did not include me. I asked what he was doing. He said he was putting important items away. I asked why he needed a lock. He said he wanted things safe. I told him he was being dramatic. I told him he was acting like I would rob him. He said he was not accusing me. He said he was making plans for the house and the child, and he needed order. The way he said "the child" instead of Piper's name felt sharp. It made me feel like a stranger in my own family. The next day, I went to the gym after work, not to work out, but to breathe in a place where no one asked questions. Mason met me in the parking lot. He wore a hoodie and acted like we were doing something brave. He asked if I could help him with a camera purchase. He said he found a deal, but it would go fast. I told him money was tight. He said I always said that, and then found a way. He said I was smart and resourceful. He said he loved that about me. That praise pushed the right button in me. I opened my app and tried to move money. It did not let me. I stared at the screen and felt panic rise like heat. I told Mason I would handle it later and he should not stress me. He asked if my husband was locking me down. I said Ethan was acting unstable. I said he was trying to trap me. Mason shook his head and said I deserved better. At work the next day, in the break room, I heard two coworkers talking about a policy reminder. One said the bank was serious about reimbursements and ethics. The other said someone got investigated last year for small things. I poured my coffee and pretended not to listen, but my heart beat fast. That night, at home, Ethan was in the kitchen. He told me he moved his direct deposit to a new account. He said it calmly, like he was talking about the weather. I snapped and said he was financially abusing me. He asked how saving his paycheck was abuse. I said it was because it was secret and controlling. He said it was not secret. He was telling me now. I wanted to scream, but Piper was in her room, so I lowered my voice and made it sharper. I told Ethan he was ruining our family. I told him he was pushing me away on purpose so he could blame me for leaving. Ethan did not answer that. He just washed his hands and dried them slowly. Later, I walked past the desk and saw a small USB on the corner. It had a handwritten label with a date. I reached for it without thinking. Ethan appeared behind me and picked it up first. He said it was work-related and I should not touch it. His tone was not angry. It was firm, like a boundary. I went upstairs and opened my phone, trying to calm myself. A message thread popped up for half a second on the screen of Ethan's laptop before it went dark. The thread title said "Follow-up." I did not see more than that, but it was enough. I lay in bed that night and told myself Ethan was plotting. I told myself he was being petty and cruel. I told myself he wanted to punish me for being a woman who wanted more. Still, the locked drawer sound stayed in my head, like a clock, and for the first time, I worried that my jokes and my smiles might not be enough to keep control. On Monday morning, I walked into the bank and told myself I would be careful. I told myself I would act normal until Ethan calmed down. I wore a simple blouse and kept my hair neat. I wanted to look like someone who could not possibly be messy. At my desk, I had barely opened my inbox when Hector Vance sent a message asking if I could step into a glass meeting room for a quick check-in. He used polite words, but I felt my stomach tighten. In a bank, polite words can still be a warning. In the meeting room, Hector sat with a folder closed in front of him. He did not show me anything. He asked about a few reimbursement entries from the last 2 months. He asked why the categories changed from client meals to work travel on dates that did not match my calendar. I said the system was confusing and I might have clicked the wrong label. I said I had been overloaded and I was doing my best, Hector asked if I had supporting notes for the expenses. I said I did, but they were in my personal email because I was moving things around. He asked me to forward the support by end of day. I said I would. He asked if anyone outside the bank had access to my work card. I said, no, never. He nodded once like he was writing something in his head. He said it was routine. He said compliance had to be clean. I smiled and said I understood. Inside, I felt a thin edge of fear. After the meeting, Marcy swiveled her chair and asked what Hector wanted. I said it was nothing, just normal checks. Marcy raised her eyebrows like she did not believe me. She said management had been tense lately. I laughed and said banks were always tense. Then I opened my emails and stared at the screen like it could protect me. That afternoon, I sat in the school pickup line and watched the cars crawl forward. Piper came out with her backpack bouncing. She got in and asked if Dad was coming to her class event on Friday. I said he might. She said she wanted him there because he remembered the songs. Her voice was small. I felt a pinch of jealousy over my own child. When we got home, Ethan was already there. His truck was parked facing the street, not tucked in like usual. It looked ready to leave. He was in the kitchen, wiping the counter slowly. 2 mugs sat far apart again. I hated how that small distance felt like a statement. He asked how my day went. I said it was fine. He asked if I could talk after Piper went upstairs. I said I was tired. He nodded like he expected that answer. Later, after Piper showered, Ethan stood by the hallway and asked if I had a minute. I crossed my arms and acted like I was the calm one. He asked if I could be transparent about money, because the accounts were changing and he needed stability for the household. I said he was obsessed. I said his need for stability was just a fancy word for control. I said he did not trust me, and that was emotional harm. Ethan listened without interrupting. That made me talk more, because silence makes me fill it. I told him I felt lonely. I told him he never made me feel special. I told him I carried the emotional weight of the family while he carried receipts. I watched his face for anger. I wanted it. I needed it so I could point and say, there, that is why I do what I do. But Ethan did not give it to me. He said he was sorry I felt lonely. He said he did not want to argue anymore. He said he wanted a calm home for Piper. He said he was going to set clear boundaries. He said he would not be pulled into shouting or jokes. I tried a different move. I softened my voice and said I could try harder too. I said, maybe we needed counseling. I said we could reset. Ethan looked at me like he had heard that before. He asked what reset meant. I said it meant we should stop talking about money and start talking about feelings. He said feelings mattered, but facts mattered too. He asked again where the money went. I felt my calm mask crack. I said he was turning marriage into an audit. I said if he did not stop, he would push me away for real. Ethan did not flinch. He said he could not stop asking. He said the savings were for Piper's future and emergencies. He said I could call him controlling, but he had to protect the family. Then I went for the sharpest thing I had. I hinted that I had options. I did not say a name. I did not need to. I said some men knew how to make a woman feel wanted. I said not every woman stayed in a dry marriage forever. Ethan looked at me with tired eyes. He said he would not compete for me like a teenager. He said if I wanted to leave, that was my choice. He said he would not beg. That hit me harder than anger would have. Begging meant I still had power. No begging meant I was not the center anymore. The next morning, I saw him loading a small box into his trunk. The box had neat labels. It looked like paperwork, but I could not see what it was. I asked if he was moving out. He said no. He said he was organizing. His voice stayed calm. At lunch, I tried calling Mason, needing the usual praise to settle my nerves. Mason did not pick up. A missed call sat on my screen, and I felt stupid for needing him. Then he texted later and asked if I could send money for a vendor hold. I stared at the message and felt anger, not desire. I realized he was not holding me. He was holding my wallet. That evening, I opened my bank app again, hoping the savings restriction was a glitch. It still said, "View only." I clicked around until I found a notice about downloaded statements. My throat went tight. Someone had pulled records. It was not random. It was intentional. I went downstairs and found Ethan in the driveway, wiping his hands with a rag like he had finished a small job. I asked what he was doing. He said he was making sure things were in order. I told him he was trying to scare me. He said he was not trying to scare me. He said he was trying to do things the right way. I stepped closer and asked what that meant. I asked if he was going to embarrass me. I asked if he was going to tell people lies about me. My voice rose, and I could hear myself getting sharp. Ethan looked past me toward the house, like he was thinking about Piper inside. Then he looked back at me and spoke in the same steady tone. He said he would handle it properly. I walked into the office tower lobby like it was any other morning. I held my badge in one hand and my phone in the other. I told myself Ethan was bluffing. I told myself he could not touch my career, because my career was mine. A man stepped into my path near the security desk. He asked if I was Romola Pritchard. I said yes and tried to keep moving. He said he had documents for me, and he needed to confirm my name. I said he was mistaken. He said he was not mistaken, and held out a thick envelope. People were walking past us. A woman from another floor glanced over. The security guard looked up. My face went hot. I took the envelope because leaving it there felt worse than holding it. I opened it with shaking hands. I saw my name at the top and Ethan's name below it. I saw words about divorce and temporary limits on money movement. I saw lines about preserving records. I told myself it was dramatic. I told myself it was a tantrum in paper form. Then my phone buzzed. Hector Vance messaged me and asked me to come to a meeting room right away. He added that security would escort me upstairs. My stomach dropped so hard I almost laughed. In the meeting room, Hector sat with another manager I barely knew. He asked if I understood the bank's ethics policy. I said yes. He asked if I had submitted reimbursements for client dinners and work travel that were personal. I said no. He said a report came in with supporting receipts and timelines. He said the bank had to treat it as serious. I said someone was trying to ruin me. I said my husband was controlling and vindictive. Hector said he was not judging my marriage, only the evidence. He said the receipts matched dates I claimed I was working late. He said hotel charges and bar charges lined up with my reimbursements. He said there were transfers from joint savings that showed a clear pattern. I said the context was missing. I said it was private. Hector said private choices became a work issue when they touched bank money and bank claims. He said my access would be suspended while they investigated. He said I was being placed on administrative leave effective immediately. A security officer asked for my badge. I said this was humiliating. He said he only needed the badge. I handed it over with fingers that did not feel like mine. In the elevator down, my reflection looked wrong. In the lobby, I saw Ethan near the doors, standing back like he was not part of the scene. I walked toward him and asked how he could do this to me. He said he did not do anything illegal, and he did not raise his voice. He said he collected facts and let professionals handle the rest. Outside, my phone tried to refresh my email. A message loaded with the subject line, "Employment Status Update," and my login failed on the next screen.